Okay, so now we're going to get on to the Fibonacci sequence, and this is something that a lot of people are familiar with, so that might make it easier for them to understand.
So what do you know about the Fibonacci sequence?
That it occurs everywhere in nature, that the man who came up with it first, and I forget his name, got the sequence out of scriptures, seemed to be repetitive patterns in scriptures, and then he realized that there are repetitive patterns in nature. That's about all I sort of can think of on the fly.
All right, so if you don't mind, I'd like to show you a quick video of a series that you can find on YouTube called Spirit Science, which is, I believe, quite interesting because they are explaining things very well. I'd say. The guy is speaking a bit fast, but yeah, it's just a few minutes, like just 2 or 3 minutes, and yeah, it's gonna save me a lot of time. Basically, the Fibonacci sequence is a sequence of number. I will give you my point of view after, but let's watch first this.
Okay, go for it.
Let's see what we think about it. Okay, so I'm showing the screen now. Here we go. Can you see it? All right.
Phi, also known as the golden ratio or golden mean, is a very simple relationship. If you had a rod and were going to put a mark on it, only 2 places would mark the phi ratio, which is here or here.
We've lost a sound there.
E is equal to E. This ratio could then span on forever, going smaller and smaller or bigger and bigger forever. This ratio is infinite. It has no beginning and no end. It is also believed that phi is the mathematical root of all other sequences. See, every mathematical sequence in existence needs a minimum of 3 numbers to figure out the sequence. Phi only needs 2. It is the only one. Similar to how the circle and square are the source of all shape, but we'll get to that later on. The next thing that you need to know is that this ratio is found in all life everywhere, sort of. By sort of, I mean it's really Fibonacci, but we'll look at that in a moment. Look at your hand. Not only does each finger have its own ratio moving up each finger, which is phi to the next bone, but it oscillates back and forth from the tallest finger to the thumb. You wonder why the human hand is like that? It's based on phi. This relationship is found throughout the body in various ways, moving up the arms and legs, in your face, throughout the entire body. This is a Greek statue that accurately represents this. The Greeks were very precise when they made their art, because they understood phi, Fibonacci, and the importance of these sequences. When the Romans took over Greece, you can see the perfection in statues just completely disappeared. I'm not saying the Romans were bad artists. They just didn't measure everything to the same caliber that the Greeks did. Here's the phi ratio in butterflies. You can see this ratio everywhere, from the wing size to the body to the antennas. They're all phi ratios. Here's dragonflies. It's the same story. Phi runs along the entire body, and the relation to the body and the wings. Here it is in frogs. Phi is found throughout the body in relation to the head, to the arms, to the fingers, and so on. Well, what about fish? You'd think they wouldn't be found in fish. Well, here's 3 kinds of fish. Once again, the ratios are consistent. It doesn't just apply to these creatures, though. Regardless of what mammal, insect, avian, plant, or living creature of any kind, you will find this ratio one way or another. There's a reason for this, but we'll get to that in a moment. Let me show you the importance we used to place on this golden ratio. In ancient times, we built many structures based on phi because we understood divine proportion. This is the pagoda of Yakushiji Temple in Japan. It's built with these same mathematics, from the doorway to the ball on top of the temple. It is a structural embodiment of the proportions that all life holds. The Parthenon in Greece also has the exact same mathematical structure, but even more. I recommend watching Nova's Secrets of the Parthenon if you wish to learn more about this, because the stuff that they find is really cool. The Great Pyramid in Giza also has these proportions. They're incredibly precise, perfect in every way. You'd think that by building these structures using the logical and mathematical proportions so carefully, they would hinder the creativity behind these buildings, but they really don't. In fact, the left brain understanding all of this can even enhance creativity if used correctly. It makes me wonder about all of the world-famous buildings of the modern world. Could phi be a large factor in what makes them stand out? Let's move on to our next sequence, which is called Fibonacci. Now, the Fibonacci sequence is life's way of creating the golden mean. Allow me to explain. This sequence is continually made from adding the previous number to the current. 1 and 1 is 2. 2 and 1 is 3. 3 and 2 is 5. 5 and 3 is 8. You can see how it continues. Now, what most people don't know about Fibonacci is that it actually continually strives closer and closer to the phi ratio. By dividing the current number into the last, you can see what's happening. 1 into 1 is 1. Well, that's not close at all. 2 into 1 is 2. This time it's over 5, but closer. 3 into 2 is 1.5, which is under, but closer still. 5 into 3 is 1.666. This time it's over, but even closer. Continuing with that, it's 1.6, and then 1.625, 1.615384, 1.619048, and so on. It continually oscillates over and under the phi ratio, never quite making it there, but continuing on closer and closer every time, until eventually you can't even tell the difference. Because phi is an infinite number, this sequence will go on forever. Let's look at some spirals in nature, another way that phi and Fibonacci can manifest. This is a nautilus shell. Many people will say it's phi, but it's really Fibonacci. See how when it's in its earliest form, it's crude, not smooth or anything? One look and you can tell that's not phi. But as it goes out farther and farther, it gets closer and closer to phi. It becomes a nearly perfect phi spiral by the time it's all the way out here. This also happens with sunflowers, pine cones, and many plants in nature. In many cases, such as the pine cones and sunflowers, it forms in a double spiral or more, much like the spiraling arms of a galaxy. From the microcosm to the macrocosm, spirals are always present. So phi is basically source, or spirit, or God, in a mathematical way of thinking. The math of God. Don't forget, this sequence is an intimate part of nature itself. I'm going to call it source. It is the source of all mathematical sequences, and all life in existence grows based on phi. However, phi has no beginning and no end. Life doesn't know how to deal with that. It's like source says, go and replicate this, and life says, we don't know how. Because life doesn't know how to create from something that has no beginning. So it creates the Fibonacci sequence instead, which has a beginning, but starts out crude, very basic, and then continually goes closer and closer to source, becoming more divine every step. It does take steps too, which actually has quite a bit to do with evolution. Let's move on for now though. The only other sequence you need to know for this is binary sequences. This is a sequence like 2, 4, 8, 16, 32. We're just doubling the last number instead of adding it to the previous one. We're all very familiar with this. Binary sequences are found in life as well. For example, mitotic cell divisions are binary. We go from being a single cell being to having over 100 trillion cells in only 46 divisions. Binary sequences are also how computers work, by turning on and off chips. Computing at its core, anyways, is binary. Okay, let's move on to something different for now, but what we just looked at will reveal itself in time. This is how a polar graph usually looks, with 36 radial lines in 10-degree increments representing the 360 degrees. Then, concentric circles are drawn, each with the same distance away as the last, creating 8 equal demarcations as the one before, counting the inside circle as 1. Think about what this represents too. It's a two-dimensional drawing of a three-dimensional sphere, one of the sacred forms, by projecting it onto a flat surface. This is also called the shadow form, and casting shadows is a sacred way to obtain information. Also, a polar graph has both straight, male lines, and circular, female lines, both male and female energies interacting at once.
Right. So it's quite interesting. This episode is very, very interesting and show easily how the two energy are working together and how the Fibonacci sequence is actually everywhere in nature and represent this kind of male and female energy, like the curvature and the straight line.
Yes. Yep. As we were seeing before in your diagrams.
Yes. So I'd like now to show you another video that now will show you the number 9, the number Fibonacci, as another sequence. So just to show you quickly what's exactly made the Fibonacci sequence. Yeah, here so can you see the picture now?
Yes, I can.
All right, so on this picture, as you can see, this is the perfect representation of Fibonacci. So Fibonacci starts with a sequence of number based on 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21, 34, 55, 89, and 144, as you can see here. So why this sequence is based on 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, and so on. Because from my understanding, everything, so the Fibonacci sequence philosophically mean the past plus the present equal the future. So it's a symbol of evolution, actually. So how do we translate that mathematically? So the past was the vacuum, was before the existence of the reality, which is actually mathematically the zero. So the past was the vacuum, the reality is the one, and the future is equal to the past plus the present. Okay, so past is 0 plus 1, which is the present, equal the future, which is 1. So that's why the first sequence is actually based on 1, 1. Okay, then the 1 become the present, the first 1 become the past, so you have 1 plus 1 equal 2. And then 1 plus 2 equal 3. And then 2 plus 3 equal 5. 5 plus 3 equal 8. 8 plus 5 equal 13, and so on. But what is very important on this symbol, as you can see it, is that phi is also representing more things. As you can see, there's a few points. You have a point here, point there, here, and here, okay, and so on. And what is very interesting on this picture is that, as you can see, you have two ways of moving into life. You have the straight line way, which is following this shape. Can you see my mouth? Yeah.
Yep, I can.
Okay. So the straight line way, which is following this movement. Okay, remember straight line 1, 4, 7. And the curvature way, which is this one, following this, and this, and so on.
So again, the male and the female, yep.
Male and female energy are exactly represented into this shape and show us that regardless to the way you are moving into life, the importance is not if you choose to use your right brain or your left brain. What is important is where did you go? Did you go through those points, or did you miss out your way in your life? Okay, so that's why for me it was very important to understand. When I understood that, I was like, wow, that's very powerful to see how the same symbol is actually representing the male energy, straight line, or the female energy. Okay, so now let's see where the Fibonacci sequence happened. So the Fibonacci sequence happened on a year, on the human body. In the proportion of the fingers, so 2, 3, 5, 8. 2, 3, 5, 8. So we can see that there's a proportion on the fingers in a pine, in a pineapple, fingerprints. So here we have maybe it's a brain. I don't know exactly if it's a brain. Maybe it's the lungs. Maybe it's some lungs or kidney. I don't know. But we can see that this shape.
Yeah, bronchi or something like that down the bottom there. Yep.
Yeah, and you have the tree here, which is very interesting. I love this picture because it can show us how everything is actually connected. So where do we find pi? In the macrocosm. Okay, on a tornado. Into the universe, into the plant, on the shape of an egg. Interesting. Here you can see the Fibonacci ratio. As you can see, we just follow the sequence.
Cabbage, yep.
Cabbage. The shape of Africa. Actually respecting it would be interesting to see what do we have here exactly. It would be really interesting to see, because the shape is actually very, very interesting. Like the shape of Africa is very interesting if you look closely. So you know this one?
Yep.
DNA. The wave. The body of a fetus. Music. Remember the shape of the music, the symbol of music is actually showing a vortex, a water vortex.
Yep, the clefs, yep.
I love this one too because really, really show how Fibonacci sequence and the body of a fetus is really identical, and the shape of some galaxies. Crop cycle. You can see an eye and see how everything is actually identical to what's happening in the universe. And see how the body is actually generating a magnetic field too. Okay, so what I want to show you now is what is the real identity of Fibonacci sequence. So now we're going to reduce the number of Fibonacci sequence. So 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8. 3 plus 1 equals 4. 2 plus 1 equals 3. 3 and 4 equals 7. 5 and 5 equals 10, which is 1. 8 and 9 give 8. And 144 give 9. Still following?
Yep.
Here you go. So yeah, if we continue the sequence after, we find exactly a continuum. So I don't know if it's clear, but yeah, so the past plus the present equal the future. So 0 plus 1 equal 1. 1 plus 1 2. 2 plus 1 3. 3 plus 2 5. 5 and 3 8. 8 and 5 13. Okay, and so on. 89 and 144 equal 233. She's here. 233 and 144 equal 377. Okay, 377 plus 233 gives 610. So we continue the Fibonacci sequence, and we're actually going to reduce those numbers. So as we can see here, 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 3 plus 1, 4, 2 plus 1, 3, 3 and 4, 7, 5 and 5, 1, 8 and 9, 8. And then we're going to follow it. So 3 and 3, 6 and 2, 8. So 8, 7 and 7, 14 and 3, 14 and 3, 17, 7 and 1, 8. Okay, 6 and 1, 7, and so on. So we're going to reduce all the Fibonacci sequence and see what's happening. Okay, so now I'm going to show you on my Excel spreadsheet, so it's going to be easier for you to understand it. So, yeah. All right, so here, so in white, you have the sequence 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21, 34, 55, 89, 144. Then you have the second sequence, then you have the third, and it's going on, going on. So what we are doing is we are reducing on the reduction line, which is under. So here, 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 4, 3, 7, 1, 8, and 9. 144 is 4 and 4 and 1, 9. Then we continue here, and we see 8, 8, 7, 6, 4, 1, 5, 6, 2, 8, 1, 9. Okay, and if we addition the first reduction with the second reduction, we find 9 everywhere. All right, so 1 plus 8 equal 9. 1 plus 8 equal 9, 2 plus 7 equal 9, 3 and 6 equal 9, 5 and 4 equal 9, 8 and 1 equal 9, 4 and 5 equal 9, 3 and 6 equal 9, 7 and 2 equal 9, 1 and 8 equal 9, 8 and 1, and 9 and 9, 18, which is 1 and 8, 9. So Fibonacci is not actually a sequence that go to the infinite. It's actually a sequence of 12 numbers each. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And every 12th number, the number 9 happen.
Yep.
Happen here, it happened here, it happened here, it happened here directly. But the number 9 is also happening in all the opposite of the sequence. And if we continue, we have exactly the same sequence that happened again. 75,025, which is actually equal to 28,657 plus 46,368, is actually give 1 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 5 and 8 and 4, and actually exactly the same sequence which is here happened here again, and exactly the same sequence here happened here again, and this can go to the infinite. Okay, and they are always equal to 9.
Yeah, it's like the fractal decompression that you're getting there.
Yes, again. So this is what I did on this design. So now you're a little bit familiar with this kind of shape.
Yep.
So I start with 9, and then I did 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 4, 3, 7, 1, 8, 9. Okay. 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 4, 3, 7, 1, 8, 9. Okay, and then 8, 8, 7, 6, 4, 1, 8, 8, 7, 6, 4, 1, 5, 6, 2, 8, 1, 9, 5, 6, 2, 8, 1, 9. And after that, we go back to the 1. So we go back here. And again, if we associate the 1, 4, and 7, 1, 4, and 7, 2, 5, 8, 3, 6, 9, we also have the same vortex. So in that case, 3, 6, and 9 works together. 1, 4, 7, 1, 4, 7, 2, 5, 8 works together. And we have exactly the same shape that starts to happen. And we can see that 1 plus 8, 8 and 1 equal 9. 1 and 8 equal 9. 1 and 8 equal 9. 2 and 7 equal 9. 6 and 3 equal 9. 5 and 4 equal 9. 1 and 8 equal 9. 4 and 5 equal 9. 6 and 3, 7 and 2, 8 and 1, 8 and 1, 9. So again, it's completely perfect.
Yep, there's balance and there's order.
Exactly. Okay, it's another representation. So the energy is flowing from 1 to 8, from 1 to 8, from 3 to 6, right? And you have the double triangle 3, 6, 9, 3, 6, 9. So I just wanted to see what's happening if we connect the numbers together. So 1 and 1, 2, 1 and 8, 9, 2 and 2, 4, 3 and 6, 9, 5 and 5, 1, 8 and 1, 9, 4 and 4, 8, 3 and 6, 9. So you have 2, 9, 4, 9, 1, 9, 9, 9, 8, 9, 5, 9, 7, 9. Okay, 1, 4, 2, 8, 5, 7. And if we addition all the numbers together, 7, 5, 8, 1, 4, 2, we again have 9.
Yeah, and the sequence has become immediately recognizable now. We've been doing this for a bit. You recognize it straight away.
And you see how this is completely perfect. Okay, maybe you are familiar with this symbol too. This is the fruit of life.
Yep.
Okay, it's another symbol, another way to see the yin and yang.
Yep.
Okay, so it seems that this sequence of numbers is actually absolutely not chaotic. It seems that this sequence is actually perfectly ordered if you know how to read it. If you see how every number is actually complementary.
Yes. Yep. There's absolute order. Einstein would love you. He always said God doesn't play dice. Everything is in order. There's no chaos.
So now let's have a look to the ancient symbol, the Satsika. Or I don't know, it was Satsiva or Satsika, I don't remember.
Swastika, yep.
Swastika, you can have two different ways to make it. So you have this male energy, straight line, or the female energy, vortex.
Yeah, I think in ancient Hindu symbology, even going back further, I think Chinese, I know for sure that the Hindus interpreted the swastika as the turning of the chakras.
Yep. It's very interesting to see the Jewish star and the Nazi symbol into the same shape. I believe that Hitler knew about what's going on, about this energy and what this vortex energy is working, because the Nazi worked on anti-gravity and they worked on the way to control energy and generate free energy. And as we can see here, there's a kind of movement of energy that is following specific patterns and coming back and going back. And you see that this energy is flowing through this symbol. This is something also very interesting and show how we are all connected, and when we use the resonance energy, we can see how energy is actually flowing and coming from one point to another point. Where else do we have the vortex? In water, the magnetic field of the earth, shape of the cosmos, tornado, twister, and the waves. So it seems that this vortex movement is actually everywhere in nature.
Including in time, too. You know, time's,
yes.
We consider time linear like we consider our maths linear, and that's also a wrong descriptor because time is also spiral. Time is also fractal.
Yes, and now I'd like to show you where else do we find the golden number. Okay, so yeah, seems that the vortex is not just in this planet, but actually above this planet too.
Yep, and there's that movement again too. It's all in movement. It's all a movement.
It's all a movement, and you see what they said in the beginning. The way we see the planet turning around the sun, we just see them turning like this, but we just forget that the sun is moving, so we don't see the vortex.
I can't remember what speed it is, but it's something like 500,000 miles per hour or something silly like that. It's
70,000 kilometers per hour, yes.
Something like that, yeah, a huge number. So, yeah, you might think you're sitting still, but there's no such thing as sitting still. We're moving at breakneck speed, and there's no one at the wheel.
Okay, so do you have any question about the Fibonacci sequence, or is it making sense now?
Yeah, that is making sense to me, and it's like a refresher of things that I've seen a long time ago. But you sort of see it and make sense, and then you sort of put it aside. But now you've brought it back. Yes, it does make sense. Absolutely, it's in everything, and everything is in that. Again, you recognize it. There's something natural about it, and we don't see that in our buildings, oddly enough, or we only see the straight lines, and I think there should be more architecture based on these concepts, so that the buildings that we live in will vibrate with the sequence of the universe. Be much healthier places to live in.
So something I'd like to show you now is what's happening in the angle. Why angle? Because the angle is also a proportion. So basically, what's the definition of an harmonic? A harmonic is when a sound is actually vibrating, we'd say, with a bigger amplitude and a different geometry, I would say, because the natural symbol of sound, of vibration, is actually a two-dimensional wave, where actually if it was in 3 dimensions, we'll see the vortex again.
Yeah.
It's a 3-dimensional movement. We just visualize it in 2D. But why, for example, the shape of a speaker is actually round? It's because when you vibrate, he needs to push a vortex. The sound has to move like a vortex.
Yes.
So that's why we represent the 2-dimensional symbol in 2 dimensions, which is this sequence, but actually it's a 3-dimensional. It's also a vortex. So sound is also a vortex.
Correct.
Light, I believe, is also a vortex. It's moving like a vortex. Okay. Now what I'd like to show you is this proportion in angles, and gonna tell me what you think about it. Can you hear me?
Yep, certainly can.
So that's very interesting to see how on the circle, every point that is opposite to the other is actually equal to 9. That's why when you divide any angle, any degree of a circle, the angle is always equal to 9, because the proportion of an angle has always to be equal to 9.
Yes.
And that's why we have 360 degrees in a circle. 3 plus 6 equal 9. And that's also why we have 365.5 days in a year. You have exactly 364.5 days in a year, because every 4 years we have 365 days. Remember, 364.5 is actually 3 plus 6 equal 9, and 4 plus 5 equal 9 again. So it's not just by chance. All that is actually quite well organized, and everything has to be equal to 9. As you can see on this circle, every point has to be the exact inverse opposite of the other point. And both of them has to be equal to 9 when you addition them.
Yep.
That's also why when you have, like a square into a triangle into a round, like here it is, 90 plus 90 plus 90 equals 360. So you have exactly the same amount of angle into a square that you have into a round.
Yep.
That's interesting, that you have 360 degrees in a square and 360 degrees around. Why? Because a square or a round are actually two expressions of the same reality. One is the male energy and the other one is the female energy. But the proportions are always equal to the same, 90, 90, 90, 90. And you can have 4 times 90 degrees if you divide your circle by 4. 90, 90, 90, 90. Interesting, huh?
Yes, absolutely recurrent again.
Okay, so the circle and the square have exactly the same proportion. All right. So what I wanted to show you now, this one. So I don't know if you know that, but do you know where we found for the first time the flower of life?
Was some ancient monument where they first found it. Can't quite remember where.
Yeah, it's a temple in Egypt, and actually what they discovered that this flower of life was actually laser burned into a stone which has been dated to be more than 20,000 years old. And that's why actually the Egyptologist spent time to understand what's going on, because laser burn into the atomic structure of the granite, it's something we can't even do today. So that's why they really pay attention to it and the symbol. And now I'd like to show you one of the explanation of what is the flower of life. So it's a three-dimensional representation of the flower of life. So as you can see, you have the 1, 2, 4, 8, 7, 5. 3 on the top and 6 underneath. So we can see a perfect balance. The 9 is everywhere. So I believe this symbol is actually the 3D representation of the 2 triangles I showed you before.
Yep.
So you have a first triangle, a first tetrahedron based on the male energy, 1, 4, 7, and 6, okay, which is equal to 18, which is 9. And then you have the female, 2, 5, 8 plus 3, which is equal to 9.
Yep.
Okay, 2 plus 5 plus 8. So 8 and 5, 13, 14. 14 and 2, 16. No, sorry. 8. 13, sorry. 8 and 5, 13. 13 and 2, 15. 5 and 1, 6. 6 and 3, 9.
Yep.
And this is what we also know as the Merkaba, double triangle, which is composing the human body and more things.
That male equivalent of the flower of life or the Taurus. Yep.
Yeah. Have you ever seen this video before?
Well, not outside myself, but I do see it within myself sometimes in meditation or in moments, you know.
Oh, you mean the Merkaba, you mean? The Merkaba, you feel it in yourself.
Yeah, well, both the shapes, because one's the male and the other's the female, yes.
Yeah. Right, and one more video I wanted to show you is this one, which is actually representing how our universe is currently working. So it's an expansion until arriving to the point of extension, the maximum extension, before going back to the compression. So this is the time of, and this is the limit, and then we go back.
Yep, fractal expansion and compression.
It's quite fascinating when you see it, how everything is actually duplicating and yeah, until being the biggest expansion, until go back to the first initial element.
Again, perfect order.
Perfect order, yes. So yeah, we can, I think, stop now and see the third part, which is going to speak about music and and cosmologic organization of the universe. What do you think about it?
Yep, I think we'll leave this one here for now. And music is definitely going to be interesting because I think that the music we're listening to in A440 tuning is really putting us in a disharmonious, it's disharmonious to the resonance of the field, to the resonance of the electromagnetics of the universe. And we really have to go back to the Pythagorean tuning in order for our emotions create, our emotions, great creator of our reality. And we have to go back to getting our emotions to resonate, because music is emotion and motion. And we have to go back and we have to resonate with the field again in order to repair ourselves and then enhance our world. We need those new descriptors, and we need to generate the right emotion, which comes from the right music and the right tuning. And we need, obviously, the new languages of maths, vortex maths, and sacred geometry that we're bringing together. So this has been a really good sequence, and we'll stop it here. Thank you, Roman.
Thank you.